Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live Thursday show. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I finally got my peerless in my revamped and reorganised little book of my travel book of watercolours. And when I say reorganised, I've changed them into a wider spine. So it looks a little bit neater and everything's protected, and I can get some more things in here as well. I've only just used just over half, but it means that even if it's like that, I can live with it, but it means I can get all my colours in. So I'm going to put some little tabs on, so there'll be a video shortly of making little tabs for the Derwent watercolour pencils, and then I have the Derwent oh my goodness, the brain. Inktense pencils. There's a space for 4 pages of 24 Derwent Graphitint. And then I have my Neocolor 2s. And I like to have them, I've put the plastic in between so that I can see all the browns, I can see all the greys, I can see all the light greens, all the dark greens, all the blues, I can see all the purples and the pinks, the pink reds, the oranges and the yellows. And it seems to be a really nice way to work, so I've carried on with the peerless. Again, I've got yellows and oranges. So if this was a palette, I normally do it the same way if it was a palette. And you normally have, like, it's called light to dark. So you would have white, then you would have yellow, and all your a couple of yellows, a couple of oranges, a couple of reds, a purple, then you would have purple blues, and blues, blue greens, greens. There's ochres and blacks at the back. I have a few more to go in here because I bought an extra pack called hair colours, which when I bought my original set didn't have them. So the new set will be going in another little a slightly bigger, and I did put all these in this one, but they didn't all fit and it was breaking the spine. So this one I have already taken the plastic, and I love this plastic. So this plastic, this will hold my larger sheets of peerless, and it will just have peerless in it. It won't have anything else. And then I also want, there is a slightly smaller one than that, which, because I've not kind of moved into my studio properly yet, things are bobbed and tipped everywhere, but there is a little red one about half the size, and I'm going to fill that just with Derwent watercolour pencils because they're professional watercolours, and so I'm going to have a small one, and that was for Bible journaling, because then sometimes when I'm flicking I forget that I'm not in my watercolour pencils, I am in my Inktense pencils, and these will bleed through and show through your Bible pages. But the Derwent watercolour pencils, if you use them very carefully with a damp rigger, they won't go through. And this set of 72 is what I originally practiced on a single layer, because you have to have a single layer of a napkin. And I found this beautiful napkin with a black and white drawing on it of a floral pattern, and I decided that I would photocopy it and I would colour it, but I also coloured it as a napkin, and you can do that, and once you've learnt how to do that, you can colour with a Derwent pencils with a paper palette, because you have a lot of control, just a tiny damp, barely damp brush, and you can Bible journal on your Bible pages with watercolour. I always say practice first, so I've got lots of videos of practicing this, but I do like that. But I am sometimes, I go onto the wrong side, I go onto this bit down here, and this is Inktense pencils, and if you're kind of concentrating what you're doing, it's an easy mistake. So I do love my little book, and this is going to be for general watercolouring, everything else, but I want a little book, and the books will have a complete page of one colour. So there will be 72 pages with 72 complete pages scribbled with Derwent watercolour pencils, and I will make a video of that. So where this page has got six colours on each, I think the other one is a little bit smaller, so it's about this size. So all that will be one colour. So it will be labelled, and it will be named, and there will be a colour guide, a colour swatch by the side from light to dark. So even though there's 72, and again, if there's extra pages, I might be tempted to put some yellows and blues together, so then I can swap over and mix greens myself. But 72 colours should be ample, I think. I do like my Derwent watercolour pencils. If I could only have one thing, that's what I would choose. I would choose a damp rigger, I would use a paintbrush rigger and my Derwent watercolour pencils, because you can use them as a pencil, you can scribble colour on, and then you can use it as a wash, or you can make paper palettes and you can have more control over these beautiful colours. And they are light fast, and they are archival, they are professional watercolours, and the colours are really, really good. And the 72 seems to be a really good mix. There's probably a good mix of light yellows, and this is why I judge a certain product. So we've got some nice yellows. These are a different set. This set I decided to put in purely because I had it. These are the Prisma watercolour pencils and the Swiss Caran d'Ache colour pencils. So I've got 12 instead of 6, but the Derwents normally go in this section. So we've got this colour section here. Oh, thank you, Kingo. Kingo says she loves a little book. Then we've got oranges from light to dark, and there is a Scarlet Lake there, but spectrum orange. So we've got oranges, and then there's an orange red, and then we have the pinky reds, and I did move burnt carmine there because it's next to carmine. And then we have so if I just show it like this, so then we have the pinks, then we have the purples, and then we have the blues, then we've got pale blues, we've got green blues and greens, we've got dark greens, we've got cold browns and tans, and we've got warm browns, then we've got some greys, and then we have the greys, and then that one's I don't know what I put there. It wasn't Chinese white. I don't know what I put there. I put something there. Shall I have to have a look at that one? But as I say, sometimes it's easy to fall back onto these yellows. And these are my Inktense, and of course they are in their normal order because there's 72 of them. Again, we've got pinks and purples. Here I've got yellows and oranges, and then I've got my orange reds, then we've got our pink reds, and we've got our pinks going on to purple, then we've got our purple blues and dark blues, then we've got our turquoise blues and some more turquoisey greens, and then we've got greens, and then we have our olive greens and browns, and we've got our blacks and greys. So again, I do like that particular way to go with colour, and I've done exactly the same. I sorted my crayons out into sections, and there is a video on this, into sections of the crayons I was going to scribble as I went along. So I had 6 here that were going on that page, and then I had a little piece of paper, and I had the next 6, and I put them all in, and there was 1 or 2 over, but I made sure that I had 6 and because I knew I wanted 6 boxes. If you want 8 boxes, before I had 8, then you want groups of 8. It depends on how big you want your squares. But I think this is quite big enough to do lots and lots and lots of colour pages. And then you can always look, some of them I've used more. You get the crayon out, you know what it's called, you know its number, and you just scribble on top. The one thing you have to remember, that if you've used it, leave it for 24 hours, because this is extra wet strength sketchbook paper, and once it's dried, it's fine. You can re-wet it, but you want to scribble over this when it's been completely dried. And then I have the same little 6 squares that I originally had for my peerless, and this is what set off these squares. That's why I have the 6. This book is about 5 years old, I think, maybe now, and everybody was buying these and cutting them into squares and making little books. And then Jenny Belly made a little book of watercolours. I can't think what she used, but it was obviously some watercolour, and she scribbled it in little squares. But in the 1980s, a gentleman called David Cook, who used to work for Derwent Rexall Pencil Company, he has a video out, probably the 80s, and he said that you could scribble on the back of your sketchbook. You could scribble some squares, and then you could leave the pencils at home, and you could take your sketchbook out, and you could do your water sketching, your I forgot the word, your watercolouring sketches. You're sketching in watercolour, basically. So if you see the colours, you make the colours, and you do a little miniature rough watercolour sketch instead of drawing it. Basically, that's what it is. And he didn't have the water brushes. We didn't have water brushes in those days, but that's what he did, and that got me thinking that maybe I can get every single water-based product in here. And I'm very surprised that Caran d'Ache haven't brought one out, probably because they like you to spend £100 or more on the full set. But I'd love Derwent to bring one out, because they could probably get, I think I've got 500, maybe 600 now. In my other book I had 600. This probably will get 1,000 squares. And if you can get 1,000 squares, and I'm sure Derwent with all their products have 1,000 colours. It's very easy to get 1,000 colours. Each square there are 10 shades. So that means that in a book about this size, you've got 10,000 colours. And that's without mixing any. That's not without using every paper, every palette, every page has a plastic palette that you can wash and colour mix, all of them. You've just got to be careful that they are cleaned and dried before you shut your book, otherwise you will contaminate your colours. But every page has this plastic protector, and it protects the colours from going from one side to the other, but it also acts as a plastic palette. So you have a plastic palette on every page. But I'm sure Derwent could do this, and it would be something like this with the Derwent colours and the Derwent, but it would be like a file system that you clipped open, and you put these in, and then you rang them up and bought some more. But the postage on these would be quite small, and I think that Derwent could bring out this with 10,000 watercolours in it, and that would be a very good 21st century watercolour travel set. So I'm still working on Derwent with that one. Right, back to our peerless. So they are in there. Again, I'm not quite sure how it would be if it was completely stuffed, but you could always have a bulldog clip to hold certain ones back, so these are kind of movable. I might actually put 2 little clips in as well. So I did start Fantomorphia by Curly Roseanne, and I did start the butterflies, and I'm going to write peerless on here because I always forget what I'm doing. I sometimes write it on the little sticker. That's another thing to do if you want, because if I don't finish a page, I'll forget what I've used on it, because I have so many water-based products. So we can stick that there, and now I know what I'm doing. And I can either throw that away, or I can put it in my little book, and I can probably write on there Fantomorphia, and I could write butterfly page as well. My hands are a bit swollen today, so my writing's more terrible than usual. So if you had a little book like this, you could put these colour guides in, and then if you're flipping through a book and you suddenly think, oh wow, I did that 5 years ago, I can't remember what it was, but I love the colours, you can look in your little book and think, oh well, actually look, there it is, butterfly page, peerless, Fantomorphia. And if of course you do all your Fantomorphias, you can put them all together, grouped together, so you can either do them all in peerless, or you can do them all in the actual colour book name. So you would have all the Fantomorphia, and you could even do them in page order that you did them if you really wanted to be finicky and be absolutely precise. But that means the minute you look at your book, you know that this is the first page, so you know the first one in your Fantomorphia little section is going to be corresponding colours. You could write the numbers down. I write the numbers down on the peerless and the on the Derwent watercolour pencils and the ink tens. Obviously you can't do that with these, but they're so vibrant. You probably could go through, because I have a colour gauge, you probably could go through and say, okay then, well I know that yellow is maybe brilliant yellow or daffodil yellow, and the orange is probably chrome orange. That one's slightly darker, I think that could be cadmium or deep mellow or cadmium. The reds, we go back onto the reds. There's three here that are very similar, so there's probably a scarlet, there's the tea rose red, which I think is that one, which is my fave, and that looks like a scarlet one. That's probably scarlet, and that one looks a bit like the japonica. And then we go to the pinks. We've only got one really dark, vivid pink. That's almost blood red. And we've got the purples. Well, that's heliotrope. That one's mauve. That one's possibly amethyst. I haven't got a name for that one. The deep blue is quite nice. Butterfly wings is one of my favourites, so that you can actually just about work out what they are. The greens, that one looks probably like the dark green. This one's viridian, and that one is almost like a blue green. That one's almost like peacock blue, I think, that one. So you can always just about, with those, because there aren't many, you couldn't probably do that with the Derwents and the ink tens, because they're very similar. And it's so much easier just to write the little number down, but of course I don't have my numbers for my peerless, so I don't do that. So I shall put the camera down, so we may hopefully not have an avalanche. And then we'll refocus, and hopefully that it will be okay. That looks about okay. Let's see how we can go out. We can go quite out. That's quite fine. I'll just do a little bit at this side, and then you can probably see. can't see what I'm doing. I sometimes do like to focus, with the camera being so, it's only about 6 inches away, you can get some really good detail and kind of really get zoomed in, so sometimes that's quite good. And I got confused behind there, but I think that butterfly there, that's the other wing to it, because there was kind of a bit of a wing thing going on down there. And Kirby does like to get things a bit cluttered, so we've got a little pretty one down here. I think I'll do him next. So I am going to be using the half rigger, the number 64 half rigger, because sometimes you look at the end and you look at the space that you're going to colour. So I have a little flat pot of water, and I do have a sponge, a face sponge in a jam jar lid. Works quite well as well. So you dunk and then you draw back the brush, twist to a point, and then you have to be very quick because this is barely dry, or barely damp, depending on which way you look at it. Now when you can see this at a certain angle, you can, as soon as the brush touches, it shines and then it dries in 2 seconds. That's just how barely damp it is, and again that's why you can do some pretty good stuff. So I'm going for this red colour here, and again if you're not sure what to do, the best thing to do is just have a, it's not really a red, it's a pink is that one. So do we need a pink? Probably need a pink there. I think I'm going for red rose. Oh no, I have a red there, but it's a different red. And of course the peerless is so strong. I think I prefer that one slightly better. And just not even a pinhead. Not even a pinhead is going to give you a wonderful effect. And sometimes it's, you need to do that in every time. Dunk, twist to a point, pick up the colour, and you can have a beautiful watercolour effect. And if I bring this near, you can see, so twisting to drawing back, and it's a dot. It's probably actually a pin, not even a pinhead, it's actually just a pin. The edge of a pin, it's a very small amount. So we've got that pink, and I'll pick to another one. So we'll have I think we're going to have the deep blue, and again a very strong colour. It's just a small amount. You see how strong they are, but what happens is it's the opposite to chameleon pens. We have a tiny amount of colour, and as we draw up, the damp rigger is releasing its water, and it's the complete opposite with the chameleons. The chameleons is we've taken the colour out and the colour is drawn back in, but it works in exactly the same way but just reversed. So we're working dark to light, and it could be a body, that perhaps, no, that's the body. So we're working dark to light, and chameleon pens work light to dark, but we get that same beautiful soft watercolour effect. I think we'll go back to that red rose, and it really is the tiniest amount. I am going to have to do all of these, and it's a beautiful soft way to work. There's no big paintbrushes to dry. You're not wasting every scrap, because I keep touching this and look at it, it's clean. Every scrap of colour goes into onto the page from here. So you're not, when you're taking a big brush and washing it out in your water pot, the water pot is all your colour and it's going down the drain. And I love that. It's very pale, but I do like that little soft effect. So I've got a little bit of pink on here, so I'm just going to go somewhere else. There's a bit of pink there, just to pick up. So I think that blue, it's actually a green, that one. I think it could be peacock green. I just want to finish that wing hiding there. So again, I can just put a little bit of green in there so we've got those wings to match. This is a very pretty butterfly, this one. So I'll do this one next. So we do have our little bit of paper if we need it. You don't twist to a point, and then look at the butterflies before. So we've got purple, we've got pink, and we've got an orange. So I think we may have a yellow. So again, you've got to dunk and twist and then get your colour. You can't hold your paintbrush for 2 minutes because it will dry. Now this is a slightly bigger space, but you get a beautiful watercolour effect. And this is what I invented. It took about 2 years for me to perfect this, to get to a rigor. And I invented watercolouring, which is getting a wonderful watercolour effect with a barely damp brush, but it has to be a rigor. Any other brush, I know this is a big brush, but when you touch an ordinary brush, that water is designed to whoosh out on watercolour paper. I think I have a very small one. I normally have a lot of watercolour brushes. This one is a watercolour brush as well. This one, although it's the same point almost, it wouldn't do, because as soon as you touch this, the water will rush out. So it will be too wet, and certainly too wet to do a Bible page. But this one, almost the second you touch it, it's dry. All you have to do is to work out where you want the dark to light coming from. And you just manoeuvre that around. And then when you look at your water pot, it's completely, and you get used to what things will do. So I've got a lovely watercolour effect around there. Oh, thank you, Kingo, thank you. And yet if you look here, there's nothing, because every scrap, it starts dark, goes to light, and by the time this dampness has come down, there's nothing on that paintbrush. It's clean. So let's have a think what we would like inside that yellow. I think I'd like a purple, actually. I think I'm going to go for the heliotrope. No, change your mind. I think I'm going for this one. Little dot, and let's just have a practice. That's quite pretty, is that one? So just a tiny spot, and almost nothing, which is very nice, because we can do strong colours if we want to, but the idea of this is we can get some beautiful soft pastel effects, which you wouldn't think from very, very bright colours. So this, again, if you want the versatility, you've got very vivid bright colours, but you can also water them down to be very, very soft. And this one will go from here down to there. And I think I can probably say that most of them you don't need to be comfortable with your hand though. Most of them you'll get 10 colours, but I probably think peerless you could get 20 out of each block of colour. So although that's a bit wishy-washy, I kind of like that. So we've got a little one under here, and we've got some quite vibrant reds, but I think we're going to have a tea rose red. I'm a bit obsessed with tea rose, I have to say. So I think I'm going to do this. We're going to go right round, and just like the chameleon pens, when you start you can't stop. Oops, I'm in the wrong way. I was going the wrong way there. But once you start, you've got to go all the way around, and if you keep going, you're going to get that wonderful little soft watercolour effect. So again, just a pinprick of colour, the tiniest amount. Obviously, if you want a stronger colour, then you fill your brush. Or, well, I would never fill the brush with peerless, but if you do a practice page, you get used to how much you need. So even though that's my vibrant tea red rose, I've got some really soft colours. And I think I'm going to go for a green. I think an olive green might look quite nice. So we'll do an olive green in the middle. And I had a bit too much then, so I didn't get my watercolour effect. I wanted the peacock blue, which is a green, but still a soft colour. And it's a very peaceful way to work. Again, I can't stress that enough. It's just really quite nice to... I've got butterfly wings blue now. It's just so nice to use a small brush with not a lot of water, and you're just slowly filling up the pages. And this is dried, so there's no mess. This is just barely damp. Now you'll probably see there is going to be a little bit of green there, just a tiny bit, because I used full colour. I didn't do the watercolour effect. So we've got that little butterfly there next to do. And because that's got smaller wings, we'll do that one smaller. And we will use the butterfly wing blue because it's very pretty, this one. And we're going to go around there. And again, once you start, you keep going, and you get paler and paler and paler. And of course, the more colour you have on, the longer it lasts. So probably wouldn't want to be that long normally. If you want full colour, you add slightly more. I think actually that's quite nice to have a bit more colour on that one. And that was just a little bit too less colour. We want a bit more colour than that. And you get used to the fact that sometimes you can touch it twice and get away with it. Again, we've got that lovely soft watercolour effect on there. And that was butterfly wing blue. And I do have geranium pink. I think we'll go for alizarin crimson next. And so twist to a baby point. I'm not hoping for a watercolour effect because this is really strong, this one. And perhaps it would have been better the other way. But again, you get too used to what's on the brush and what you can do with it. sometimes there's a little dot every time. Now I could risk that to go paler. Oh, it looks quite nice, that. It's just a hint. And we have a bit bigger butterfly here on that one. So there's a lot of pale greens over there, so perhaps we'll try. I do need to just move my... You've got to be comfortable, so I'm just going to actually put that on top. Put that on top of the page because it's very unusual. So we've got I don't know what mountain green. Mountain green might be a little bit dark, but let's see what it does. Again, you can pick up that lovely watercolour effect. And you can make it go to absolutely nothing, and there's nothing better than finding a colour that's so dark and deep but goes to nothing. It really is a very, very nice effect. And so I think I'm going to put... Oops, that was a bit too strong, was that one? And again, we'll just put... Now, the face wipe is getting a little bit wet now, so... And one thing you can't have is hair on the end. So the baby wipe now is actually in its own right, it's wet. So we can just do that. We don't need the water anymore. We just need the little face sponge. And sometimes when I've worked like this, I've worked from a wet baby wipe. I was quite poorly one day and I had to stay in the hotel room and I couldn't actually get to the bathroom, so I just used a baby wipe, and actually there was just enough water, enough dampness to create a watercolour effect, and I didn't even have any water, so you can get some really beautiful effects. And that was a bit dark, that, but I kind of fancied a bit of a... And I've realised I've probably done the same blue there, but never mind. I'm going to pale that up a bit. That's quite nice though, that little butterfly. I hope the light's okay. Now there's one behind and then there's one flying. I think I'm going to do the flying one first. And there seems to be a bit of a snake dragon thing going on there. I might just do that first actually. So we've got a scarlet japonica and we've got a green. I think I'm going to do a red, a bright red body on this creature. That's a red mouth, I think. And we have a myrtle green, which I am sure will be quite okay for his body. Again, I should have done a little bit because I don't want that watercolour effect really. I just want him coloured in. have a bit of a darker face there. He's got a bit of a highlight going on. He's got a little bit of a highlight going on. Our little dragon. Oh yes, Kingo, yes, I'm in the new room. Yes, I'm in my new room. It's fine. It's fine. The birds are singing. It's quite a nice day. I don't know where Bungle's gone. Betsy's in the window melting. I shall do that butterfly there. And again, I think I'm going to go back to pinky reds, so we've got a nice big pink here. So again, you've got to remember to dunk and twist, pick up the colour, and then kind of go for it. You can't mess about. You can't suddenly look at something else or try and choose the colour when it's already on, because it's only just barely damp, and especially on a day like today you won't get that lovely watercolour effect. And let me have a think. I think I might have a red. No, I didn't have a watercolour effect for that, but that's fine. Oops, I've just done the wrong one, so we need that pink again. And I do have a little bit of pink on here, so I'm loath to get rid of this pink. So we have a butterfly behind here. I just pulled down that pink just that little bit, and I don't know where the other wing was behind there somewhere. Then there seems to be a line here, but I've no idea what it's for, so I've left it. Don't know if it's a mistake. It just sits there and it doesn't seem to be attached to anything, so I've left it. So we want to do this one next. So we've got red and pink and blue around it, so maybe a yellow. I don't think a bright yellow. A deep chrome might be quite nice. So we'll have a deep chrome in the middle. As well, and I think we can go to chrome orange on the outside. Again, I don't really want to just a tiny bit more. You can always let it dry and go back over it if you want a bit more colour to it. And I think we might have, I think we'll have a blue though. I don't seem to have a blue. I think we'll have have a butterfly, a turquoise blue, I think. I have a turquoise blue to kind of brighten that one up a bit. And I think that one is the same behind. Oh no, now we have another wing here. So we have a wing. Oh, it's the bottom of that one. So yes, he'll have that blue, turquoise blue again, because that's his bottom set of wings, and the other one's the top set. So I need a bit of more of that chrome orange to brighten that one up a bit. So he's definitely all there. I think the bodies I'll do all kind of a fawny brown colour. So if I zoom out a bit, we'll be able to see a few more colours. Sorry guys, the dogs are having a bark as well. So now we can see them all, and they look quite good in natural light. So again, we've got some nice effects here, pale effects, a bit stronger effect here, but that lovely soft one there is almost invisible, but I think it's pretty. You can hear the birds tweeting. I don't think we've got any birds yet. When I move the books, I'll lift the camera up really carefully. I just have to undo the wire. And I've just got that lifted so without making anybody too sick. Oh, sorry guys, upside down I think. Just bear with me a second. So that's the view out of the garden. And as you can see, all my weeds. But I do like my weedy garden. So when I get rid of all these, sorry, all the dogs are barking now. This behind me, I've got all my beautiful pastels in their pastel box. We have a dining table with my paintbrushes in that aren't sorted yet. Behind me is the sofa where Bungle sits. We've still got concrete floor. There's some very large paintings of mine there. My other two cupboards are on the other side, and then we've got the damp patches at the door, and then we have the very large sunny roof, my baskets hanging up, and then Betsy's inside in the window, and then we've got the laptop. And if I just spin out, I've got to keep my ankles up because they're swollen at the minute. So this is my new IKEA desk, which I bought second hand, and I built an extra 2 shelves above it with the drawers. So those 2 are not with it, it just has that one on it. So because this actually comes with it, I think it's about £30 this bit, and this bit's and this is the desk, but then this bit sits on top. So none of the lights are plumbed in at the minute. So I have all my colour books, well, not all of them, but most of the ones that I'm working on. So most of my colour books are there. My poorly light that doesn't want to bend. And I haven't sorted the drawers out and labelled them. And then I have my 4 bookcases at that side, which I've just got stuff thrown in with the 4 cupboards. But as you can see, it's very, very sunny. And then the big white desk is at the back there. So as you can see, I haven't got anything sorted apart from I have a rough idea of where the books are that I'm using. So the windows are open a little bit, but we can't have them up too much because of because of the cats, because they're rescued and they will run off. So that's my weedy garden which God is in charge of. That's his garden, but the birds love it, and so that's my little garden. And then the field, the half-acre field, is behind the yellow hedge. So we've put the bunnies in the cold dining room. I'm just going to shut that, guys, because otherwise it'll make everybody sick. Put the cold... Oh, typical. It won't sit now. Even though it was sitting before. Sorry guys, just bear with me a second. It was holding it before, but now it's not. That should be the right way around, hopefully. Oh no, upside down. If ever a whiz the whiz, that's the way I always do, upside down. We should be the right way around now. Thank you. Well, my daughter goes mad because she says, I worked really hard at that, Mummy. I went, no, yes, but God, that's God's garden, that one. I mean, the other one is as well. It's wild. The other one is as well. Yes, they're in well, you should. They're in the furthest room. The furthest room is the dining room. Then we have the kitchen, and then we have a little anteroom and a pantry, and then we have the lounge, and we're at the end. So this is a sunny bit, and the other room is freezing. Well, the bunnies were in here last week, and they were melting. And I was trying to stream, and I was thinking, because I wasn't in here, I was in the other room, and I was thinking I can't possibly leave the bunnies in here because we had the really hot days, and you couldn't bear to put your face in this room. It was too hot, so I had to move the bunnies. So the bunnies are in the cold room because, of course, cats like to bask. Now Betsy can go in the dining room, in the lounge, which is why Alfie's not allowed in, because Alfie chases the cats. He's naughty. He's almost got it. He's almost got it. Now we're having a few shadows now because the sun's come right round. But hopefully we'll be okay. There is something to be said for natural light. So, and I don't know if sometimes you work this way with the colours. Whereas if you kind of say, well, that's going to be purple, so purple's got to be there, purple's got to be there, purple, do all the purple ones, then do a pink one next to... I don't tend to do that. I just kind of work my way around as I go. And it kind of works. But sometimes if I think, right, I'm going to have that colour there, and I'll do all the red ones, then I'll do all the pink ones, and I'll do all the green ones, it looks more contrived, whereas this looks more natural because it was a natural way to do it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I kind of work around it. I look and I think, well, do I want another green one next to it? Sometimes I get the same blue next to each other, and of course that green is near the same as that. But I did that first of all. I didn't see the little snake thing, dragony fanged creature coming out. There should be another one. I can't believe there's only one. Yep, there's only one. Haven't decided what to do with the skull either. Have it black or... I know what would be lovely if I was using black acrylic is to make everything black and the skull and the butterflies would pop out. And actually I could do that because I've done this twice recently, and again that's why I'm getting rid of the Amazon button, because I'd probably still buy things from Amazon, but I'm not having an account open that I can put things in the basket and then 3 o'clock in the morning think, oh, well, you know, I really want these, I want them, why shouldn't I have them? And I buy them. But I bought 2 of the Fantomorphia, and I bought 2 of the Harry Clark book. So I'm kind of losing my marbles a bit. So that's another reason why I'm getting rid of the Amazon thing, because then I can look and say, well, I haven't got it and I'm going to buy it, rather than just kind of willy-nilly buy it. So that's the other reason that I'm getting rid of the Amazon account. As I say, it doesn't mean to say that I'll never buy anything. It's just at the moment I don't want it permanently open, permanently handy, and full of things that you know, there are other things I'd rather have, like the full set of the watercolour pencils, so the Dirt watercolour brush pens, and I've had these in my basket twice and I've taken them out because I keep saying I would love the full set, but do I need the full set? You know, I've got my 2 yellows, my 2 reds, a purple and a blue, 2 greens, or 3 a dark blue, 2 blues, 2 greens, and yellow ochre and burnt umber. So do I need anything else? You know, but yet, because it's a full set, you always think that you would like the full set. There's only 36 colours and I have 24, so it's not a lot, but at £3 each. At the minute, Cassart, I've got buy 2 get 1 free. It's not quite a bug off, but it's almost. So you buy 2 and you get the 3rd one free, and I think they're about £3.99. They're 5p cheaper than the range. And I went to the range to buy them and I got them in my little hands, but then I looked about and there were lots of colours everywhere, so they'd all been used, and I was a bit kind of, well, how much is left in there? So I was a bit I didn't get them, even though they were in my little hands. I put them all back. I was very good. So I've got a very big butterfly there, and again, that one is they're different, but I like the colours. So, you know, we've got some very pale ones here. I think I might want a stronger one up there. So I think that tea rose red's going to pop in. But I think now's the time to move to the number 1 brush, because again, you look and you get used to, you know, these little spaces here are for a small brush, but these spaces are for a bit bigger, because you get that lovely motion going for the watercolour effect. And again, a practice page gets you used to that. So we've got a damp brush, and it is actually just on the too wet side, but it's okay. So I think I'm going for my gorgeous geranium pink. I think my geranium pink is one of my favourites. I think I might do the outside though. So we've got that beautiful geranium pink. And there isn't much of a watercolour there, but there is a bit of a watercolour. And again, a bigger space, you want a tiny bit more colour. But too much colour and you don't get the watercolour effect. So again, you've got to kind of think about what you're doing. I'll keep dipping it in then, I don't need to do that, but there we go. So we need to do the bottom edges. Now I think I'm going to do this bottom edge here. And this brush is quite damp, so I can do this bit. The hardest thing is actually seeing where the pattern leads you. And I think that's quite a nice pale colour. And forget-me-not blue looks quite nice. So we'll have a forget-me-not blue, and I've got quite a lot of colour on here, so I might just take that all the way down, because I did have a fair amount of colour. And if you really don't like that, you can go over it later. So we'll just take that one up to there. And again, sometimes it's quite nice that the different they've got kind of a difference, makes them more natural, so one might be not quite as bright as the other one, because of course in real life a butterfly wings, they look symmetrical but they're not. And if you have a pale bit, you might want to go somewhere else with that pale. There's all sorts of different ways of doing this. This bigger brush just manages to do that. And then I think we'll probably have that gorgeous turquoise. I think we might just have to have a bit of strong colour in there. And maybe just a little bit of strong colour on the tips there. Just a bit stronger colour. This one's butterfly wing blue. Now we'll see if this one's gone through, because I've done it twice. And normally they don't like that, and I'm just going to touch these to make them a bit stronger. But again, it's still a lovely quiet way to work. And you can do it on a cushion tray, because you don't have lots of things with you. You've got a little tiny water pot. And that's kind of all. I'm looking for an odd butterfly and I can't find one. I think I'm going to give this one a little bit of oomph. This one down here, I've got some colour. I think I want to just make this one a bit darker. And again, I shouldn't have done that with that brush because it wasn't wet enough. So again, when you wet it twice, now I can guarantee that that has gone through. I will know that that has definitely gone through, because this colour is very strong. Well, almost gone through. Oh, thank you, Kingo, thank you. So he's got a bit more colour to him now, so he's kind of, because he was looking a bit drab down there. And if I wanted to go in again, I would leave it, because I've touched that twice. I can make him as bright as anything, but not today. I would always leave it overnight. And again, I can't really be bothered with hairdryers. I know they're wonderful and heat guns, but you know, I listen to the birds. I'll probably be sitting on a beach somewhere. I want to be quiet. I've got my little book, and this book can go anywhere. So, you know, I just want to be peaceful. So let's have a look down here. We've got that lovely orangey one. I like my geranium pink that I've used in 4 places, because I think that's one up there. That's a pretty one. I suppose we could have another yellow one, so we'll have that one up there. We'll have that yellow. But I have 6 different yellows. In fact, I have 8, because I've got daffodil, brilliant, gamboge, marigold, golden, chrome, cadmium, and deep mellow. And they're all yellows. So there's quite a few. I've got 8 colours, 8 yellows to go through. Most of them are not kind of pale. I did do a daffodil yellow. I think that's daffodil yellow. Gamboge is quite nice, so I'm going to do the gamboge for this little man up here. There, I think we'll have gamboge. And I've had a brilliant yellow, but we'll have a gamboge, and again I think we'll start inward and go down. And I do have quite a lot of colour on here, so again there's probably enough to go right round. And again, I forgot the golden rule. This brush is too big for this space, so I didn't get the watercolour effect. I got an all over effect, and probably there's a bit of yellow on there, look, so I did waste a little bit of colour because the wrong size brush. So I have to go back to my half rigger, and that is probably a better size. So when you look at them, you could think, yes, smaller butterfly, smaller brush. And 4 is normally good. I have 3, and then I have my Artmaster Rigger 10-0. That's probably the thinnest one I use. So I quite like him. I think I'm going to put a bit of purple. I'm going to put this heliotrope colour. I kind of like that. So touch a bit of colour, and I think we'll go in and then kind of manoeuvre out to give. And the only problem you've got to do is be very quick, because you end up with a line. So, oops, I didn't get any colour on that then. And again, we've already had pink, yellow and purple, but a different yellow and purple produces a different effect. And also, if you can get the watercolour effect, you have a lovely soft effect. So I kind of like him. I think he's quite sweet. And we have one behind here. Now he's got a wing missing. Oh, it tends to go up there, does it? Okay then. So we might have to have him bright coloured because his wings disappear. So I think we're going to have a red and a green. So peacock green, I think. Peacock green. So we can definitely see that his wing is under there. I think my peacock green might need to be replenished. It's looking a bit drab. I do use it an awful lot. I do love this colour. And then we look at our reds, and I think I'll have to be tea rose red. A little bit obsessed with tea rose red. Oops. I think this will be too much colour. I don't think we're going to get a watercolour effect. Maybe. Oops. And you could always see the tiniest little speck of shiny, so you know you've picked up colour. So again, I kind of like him. He's fine now. He's gone behind the other one. Possibly a little bit of red on there, just to show that, because it's not, I would have drawn that slightly different to show that that red had gone up there. So we've got him next, so he's going to be a viridian green, I think, and he's still quite small, so I'm going to stay with this small brush. Although green might be too much to be next to him, I think I might do him green. That little, oh, that one might be green. Oh no, that one, that little one there. Actually, it was the right green. It's quite nice, is that one. And Japonica red is quite a strong pinky red. Right, so let's have a look. We could do with an we've got two reds there. Let's have a look at some colours. I think a brilliant yellow next. A brilliant yellow. And it is a very peaceful way to work. This really is very peaceful, apart from Bungle crying in the background. It is normally quite a nice peaceful way to work. I think I'm going to have a bit of a purple, I think. Ooh, or maybe a blue, but a blue, not a turquoisey blue. I've got a cobalt blue. I haven't used that one yet. I always get hung up on the deep purpley blue. So I think we're going to have this blue, which is a nice kind of cobalt blue. Oh, I think Bungle's hungry. So that's okay, I can live with that down there. So we need a really nice bright butterfly here, and I love that one. I love that one and that one. So here I think we may have a little bit of a red one going on. How are we for time? Oh, it's about an hour, so yeah, a couple of hours for a page is quite okay, because you're working really small, we're having a watercolour effect, which is really quite nice to get this beautiful watercolour effect in an ordinary colour page. Now, of course, these are a little bit thicker than normal, but it isn't watercolour paper, and so you've always got to remember that. I'm quite tempted to have another orange, because I do like some of these gorgeous oranges. There's an orange chrome, which I think that's that one. It's one of my faves, and I kind of use it a lot. There's an orange yellow. I think I might use that just to be different. Still need a small brush. And probably put that on the inside. Yep, a bit more water on that one, I think, perhaps. So I've got a lovely soft watercolour effect, which is quite nice. And also at the bottom as well. So, hubby's a bit cross because I bought another second-hand bunny cage, because we were a bunny cage short and we're always rescuing animals, and I saw a couple of bunny cages, so we've got extra bunny cages. So I'm a bit in the doghouse. Again, sometimes you might want to think about colour, and sometimes you might want to think not. The other one is quite pale, actually. This is gone back to chrome orange, which is kind of a bit in your face. But it looks like it's got quite a nice effect. If I hadn't have gone over there, it would be quite nice. But again, the orange is a kind of a peachy orange. It's really pretty. So I don't know if that's too much. So I think we might put a little bit of I'm just trying to think of that colour we would like. I think I'm going to use butterfly wing. Because I think that's going to look quite nice. So again, it's a good job I've got this little brush. We can just get a little watercolour effect. Not much, but just a tiny amount. Just enough. And again, it's the amount you pick up. If you pick up too much, you can't get your watercolour effect. It's all to do with the dampness of the brush, the amount of paint you pick up on the end, and the size of the shape you are colouring. And once you've mastered that, you've got it. So again, that's just a one sweep up, just a tiny amount, a one sweep up, tiny amount, a one sweep up, and possibly around. And of course you've got to remember that if you touch a blue with a yellow, at some point you will get a green if it touches. So again, I quite like that one as well. It's kind of got the tips, and it's going to stand out quite well as well, I think. And we've also got another one here. So again, if you weren't breaking off and doing all lots of other things, I think it would look quite good. I think I want a peacock green. I think I'm going to do peacock green. On the inside. And the secret is you have to wet your brush every time, because it dries almost instantly. There's a little bit of green in there. I think the peacock green needs replacing as well. Just a hint of that with a nice highlight. And then I'm going to put, I do like my butterfly wing blue, I have to say. So we've got a real bluey turquoisey thing going on here. And again, unfortunately, you've got to be fairly comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, you can't carry on in a straight line. And I love that little soft butterfly. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I was out of shot, and that's my favourite butterfly. So I did that little bit. There's a little bit of too much green there. Just want a touch of green to kind of mix in. Right, just move the paintbrushes and the water pot. Oops, a very large one there. Yes, I am still recording. I might finish this recording and do a part 2, because it's a bit boring watching so many butterflies be coloured, really. So let me just the butterflies look quite bright on there, and again they're all dried, so you can shut the book. But I do like some of them. I like some of the colours. I'm just going to pop that up there really carefully. So we can see, oops, that's a bit too far away. And adjust the automatic focus. So you can tell now it's kind of a really bright day now. But I do like the colours. I do like the colours, and there's quite a lot of butterflies all kind of squished in together at some point, so that looks quite interesting. I think first you think it would be a bit of a mess, but actually they look quite that they all know what they're doing. So that's the end of part 2 of Fantomorphia, and that's the butterfly page with the peerless watercolours in my little book of colours. With I only used two paintbrushes there actually, but my fine paintbrushes and my little pot. And that's the end of part 2. Thanks for watching.